Oh, what is up? Welcome to the Unofficial Tedeschi Trucks podcast. I am Adam Choit. What is cracking? This is episode number 225. Please like, subscribe, do all those things. That's appreciated. For sure. That means a lot to me. Please follow as well if you're on Instagram at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. That's appreciated. There's a Discord now. All this is in the episode description, of course. Thank you to Weedside Woodside. I saw, maybe I'll share this later, but Bobby Tees was wearing the Weedside Woodside, Randy's dispensary, of course, in Weedside in Woodside, New York, and he was wearing the T-shirt down and at the Georgia show, and someone snapped it and sent the picture to Randy. So that's cool to see Bobby Tees representing Weedside Woodside, but they're a great spot. Definitely check them out if you're in the New York City area for your THC CBD needs. What else do we got? What else do we got? I'll get out an audio version of this. Either later today, tomorrow, soon for sure. So whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, definitely subscribe. That's appreciated too. I'm getting video on Spotify too for pretty much every episode. Usually that is good to go, so you can see video on there too. Of course, I'm on live on YouTube for everyone who's watching. Thank you for hanging. What else we got? Discord, everything's in the below. I'm gonna bring on some guests momentarily, and we're gonna talk about these last couple of TTB shows. They were excellent. One's up on archive, the other was streaming on that Mama DD radio Mixler app, so I heard a decent portion of it last night, pretty much most of it, so that was cool to be lucky enough to hear that. I think that was Paul Winslow, I think, was streaming on Mama DD radio, so thank you to those guys on Mixler, that app. That's a cool app. Check that out. What else we got? I'm going to run the banner before I forget to do that. Oh, patreon.com/TTB podcast to support. This is all in the episode description, and I'm going to run a banner. So I appreciate the support for sure from you guys. Let's bring on Garrett, and let's bring on newcomer Jeff. And I think we'll have Michael Drum joining us soon, too. He was there at the show at Alpharetta a couple of days ago. But let's bring on Garrett. Let's bring on Jeff. And there they are. What is cracking, guys? Hey, we are here. Good to be with you guys. Thank you both for taking the time and joining me. And what do we got here in the comments? We got Suzanne. Hope you're doing well. Howdy. Let's start with Jeff. How are you? Where are you? And I want to hear about your TTB origin story. So welcome to the first timer here. We've been chatting a little bit here and there. So it's good to finally connect with you here.
Yeah. Good to connect with you. Yeah, we've missed a couple times. It seems I'm often traveling to shows, and which means I'm traveling home a lot of times when you're podcasting. It's just that hasn't worked out. But I'm back home in the low country of South Carolina in my home office / studio, and glad to be back home. Just was a quick overnight for us up to Raleigh. My wife and I, we've seen a lot of shows, but this was just a midweek one show run up to Raleigh, and that was a great show. I mean, they always put on a great show as far as I'm concerned. But I know we'll dig into the details, but yeah, that's that's my current situation.
What's your a little bit of history? I mean, in a nutshell, how long have you been following TTB? How long were you a fan of Derek before him? Were you following Susan before him? What's your kind of TTB origin story?
It's crazy to me that it took me as long as it did to find them and him, but I want to say it was probably not until maybe 2013, 2014 that I found them. You know, I just stumbled onto Revelator. Just one night I was just surfing around looking for music that I hadn't heard before. And the instant I heard that, I immediately knew, oh man, I found my band. Here's a band that has everything that I love, and they're alive. They're current, you know, and then my first show was 20. I believe it was the spring of 2015 in Mattison, Wisconsin, and that was just a great show.
Is that one on YouTube? I feel like there was some that
entire show was live streamed back when a lot of them weren't, before Nugs was a nightly thing. And that was on Live Nation, was live streamed, and somebody has scammed it and put it out there a long time ago. It's a fabulous show. I mean, it's a different lineup than what they have now, but
I feel like I remember Susan saying something about the college. Maybe they were in the tournament. Something. It was like during March. It was around March Madness, and she said something about. Right. I remember these crazy details.
Yeah, it was cool being in Mattison on a weekend when they were involved in the tournament as well. I don't think there was any basketball going on in town that night, but the team was playing. Right.
How many times have you seen TTB over there? If you know,
was very cool. We had we completed a bucket list item this spring when we went up to the Beacon, and our first show at the Beacon was our 50th show. So we've now seen them 53 times.
I had a feeling you had seen 52. Them quite a bit, just from when you were saying, I travel quite a bit. I'm like, okay, that means at least a few shows a year. And if you've been seeing them since 2013, this band's been around a minute. I feel like we all think of them still as kind of a newer band. I feel like, and I feel like older fans just started thinking, I mean, still people think of Derek as sort of like the skinny kid, a little bit, but TTB has been around a while now, let alone Susan and Derek and some of the other band members. I mean, they're the more senior members in the band, pretty much, Yeah,
it's scary. It's like your kids getting old, and then it makes you feel even older. But yeah, they're.
I forget who said it though.
They're in their prime.
Right. I don't know if it was someone who was saying it, either Zach or John during the podcast or off the last stream. But we're going to get another probably 2 decades worth of prime music from like this band, assuming that they want to play. And even if they, actually retire at a reasonable age, early 70s or whatever, we're still going to get a ton of
Right.
music.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful thing. And I apologize. I don't want to dominate the whole podcast.
No, you're good. You're good. We're going to get into the shows.
I have to say, and I hope this is a shared experience of a lot of fellow TTB fans, but I get a hard time from a lot of my friends because we're not millionaires. Shows are not cheap. And so I don't go to a lot of other shows, and they'll tease me. They'll be like, hey, we're going to Styx or we're going to Kansas. Why won't you go? And I'm just like, I want to see a band that's in their prime, that's doing it now, not a band that's a shell of itself or a tribute or, nothing against any band really. I mean, there's no reason to dig on anybody, but let's enjoy them while they're doing it in their prime, because it's so good right now. And like you say, it could go on forever, but you never know.
No, I'm right there. I'm right there with you, and I'm the same way. Like my, whatever musical budget I have is going to go towards like TTB or something related to TTB.
Primarily, at least my travel budget.
But I still like to support local music and friends, bands, and colleagues and things like that where I can. But I'm Styx and Kansas will not be chewing into my TTB budget, to say the least. I could be dragged if someone, if you want to take me out to the show, I'll get you. You to get the ticket. I'll get some drinks if you're looking for somebody. All right, we'll figure that out. Garrett, how are you and where are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm back at home after going to Alpharetta Tuesday night.
Yeah, that was probably an amazing experience in itself. Had you been to that venue?
I had been. I think I've seen Dave Matthews there a couple of times. So yeah, I've been out to that before. It's an amazing venue. It had great sound, particularly this time. I mean, I guess this time was kind of the farthest I've sat back. I was on the lawn for the first time, and me and my buddy, we rented some chairs because it had rained. So we were like, we don't want to sit on the grass, so we rented, some chairs for the lawn, and we sat dead center, so we got the best sound, and I couldn't believe how good it was being that far back. I was surprised. I guess I shouldn't have been, knowing how good TTB sound people are, but still, I was shocked it sounded as good as it did on the lawn.
How, and I want to just I just brought in Michael Drum. How are you doing, my friend? Where are we? We back home in
Denver, Colorado. Yeah, I'm back.
And we have a lot to get into with Michael, because he posted a video where he was expressing his deep feelings about the band, and obviously traveled to this and apparently had an instinct to just wanting to go to it. From what I understand, we'll get into it, but wanting to go see a show, an upcoming show. So you wanted to go to an out of town show, and you chose this one specifically, thinking it's Atlanta. It's like a hometown kind of vibe. This is one I want to check out. Again, like sort of a bucket list for him.
I actually was there a year and a half ago at the last night at the Fox. And that was what showed me, oh, wow. So they obviously bring it when they're in Atlanta. So that was more the impetus. Just as has been shared already, I'm not a millionaire and I can't go to all these shows. So I have to kind of curate which ones do I think might be a little more special than the others. And they all wind up being special regardless. But I've got to have some basis to decide which ones to go to. So
we miss our Fox shows. Last couple of years, no Fox.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the new era of working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And it looked like they might have had 10,000 people there. I mean, the place holds 12, I think. Wow. So it seemed to be pretty full. What did you think, Garrett, in terms of how full it was?
I agree. I mean, I watched the seats. Like I said, I was on the lawn, so I could see all the seats, and I watched it fill in. And I said to my buddy, I said, for all the tickets that were left the last time we looked, it's filled in pretty well. I don't know if, people waited till the last minute and said, heck with it, let's just, buy the tickets and go, or they were waiting to make sure the weather would hold, or, something like that. But yeah, it seemed to fill in pretty well.
And what does the Fox hold? I think it's 3,000. So if they do 2 nights there, that's 6. So to me, if it was 8, 9, 10,000, that's kind of part of why they're not at the Fox anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a whole discussion to be had there. I mean,
we can discuss it, but they've moved on,
yeah,
and now they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, they can be efficient, but sometimes it's not about efficiency.
And that's why they're ending at the Chicago Theater, I think, for 2 nights this tour.
I love the sound in the theaters is why they're so good.
There's no complaints. But anyway.
I was going to say it was interesting to hear you guys mention at the what makes a TTB show special. You have to have some basis to decide what show to go to. So it's almost like there's certain things like ahead of time. You're like, okay, I know this is going to be special because of this so-and-so reason. It's this tour. It's this guest. They're playing these kinds of songs. It's a hometown show. It's a hometown show for me. Like whatever it is in your mind as a fan, you're going to know kind of some things that are special, but then there's all the things that are surprises and special once the show actually happens.
Right.
But there are certain things, I guess, benchmarks or things, whether they're personal or whether they're known about the band and related to the band specific, that everyone's going to know. You kind of know at least some amounts of things that are special. What's up, David Flam in the chat there? 5,000 at the Fox.
Oh, 5. Wow.
Yeah, but you're right, and it's interesting because they go back and forth, right? So they've done the Mattison Square Garden show, but yet they still went back and did the Beacon this year, and thank goodness. So we were able to do it this time. We won't travel there for that. The Fox, of course, is special because it's pretty close to home. We can easily go to the Fox anytime they're there, just to drive over. But so that's why I'm so touchy about the Fox.
Oh,
if they're cutting back, I was gonna say, if they're cutting back on dates, chances are that shows are going to be just that much more special because there's just going to be slightly less of them. So they're going to be more choosy with the venues and pick places that are more, meaningful to them if they can. 12,000 at Alpharetta.
So again, Garrett, what would you guess if that? How full was the lawn?
The lawn had a good amount of people. I mean, it wasn't packed. I've been to shows where it's been packed. It definitely wasn't packed, but there was a good crowd out there. I mean, people could still, put their blankets down and stretch out. And if I had to guess total number, I would say maybe between 10 and 11,000. I might be pushing it, but I mean, just judging from what I saw, I'm pretty confident in saying there was at least 10,000.
This is not TTB that I'm showing. I'm just showing a picture of the venue for people watching on YouTube. But this is the correct picture. This is what it looks like, the venue, at least.
Yep.
Yep.
But that's all the way from the back.
Yeah, it's expansive. I mean, I imagine though that does invite. I mean, to sit on the lawn far back, I imagine those tickets were not crazy pricey. I mean,
no, I don't remember exactly what I paid, but I want to say it was maybe right around $70.
yeah, not too crazy. And but someone, I forget, maybe it was Randy making this point on a previous episode that TTB can be pricey and is getting more pricey, but like the quality of the music and compared to like what other popular acts out there, like thinking about some of the acts, even my sister and my parents, like some of these and big popular acts that we would all know and a lot of them enjoy, like we're talking, I don't know, it gets crazy expensive. So even compared to like some other acts,
they're cheaper than all of those still, even with what's going on. So
cheaper than Taylor Swift.
You didn't mention her.
I don't know.
No. You just mentioned the most, the biggest touring act in the universe.
Right.
In terms of the more rock based or the more classic, like Styx in the Can, whatever, whoever, maybe out there in the other Fish, they're probably maybe in a similar realm to what Fish tends to be.
Suzanne says Ruoff in Indy is selling lawn tickets for $30, including TTB. An indie show.
Yeah,
two great shows to recap. That's what we're doing today.
Texas, I think, I don't know how many, they're obviously not universally as big in most places. You would think Atlanta would have a pretty good representation at an amphitheater, and it did. And I think that may be I think some of the markets are not doing 10,000. But anyway, it doesn't matter. In terms of my perspective, I just want to be there when I can be.
Right.
No, for sure. We can take a look at I guess the set list for Alpharetta. Why don't we do that? We got Crazy Crying, I Got You Until You Remember. This is Alpharetta, Crazy Crying, I Got You Until You Remember, Future Soul, Bell Bottom Blues, Keep on Growing, Devil Be Gone, Isaac and Kebbi Jam Until Let Me Get By, Loving Cup, and Memory of Elizabeth Reed. Made Up Mind, Feeling All Right, and Space Captain. And that in memory of Elizabeth Reed was with Jason Isbell, and Derek broke a string and sent Brandon to bass for solo, and Zach Brown was on the Feeling All Right. So this is a super awesome show. I listened to I'm still processing in memory of Elizabeth Reed. Still processing it. But I'll give it over to you guys.
That's an epic version of that song. And as David and Richie and some other people who were at Sun, Sand, and Soul say, there was no interaction, no guesting between Jason and TTB, etc. And then all of a sudden they get to Atlanta, and boom, full cross-pollination that way. And it was just so I followed the example of the people who know, and was in the front row there. So my camera angles now are like amazing. So these videos I'm able to come up with are making me excited, and so I had the perfect angle to just shoot their duet together. Just incredible. And I was just watching it again. And it's funny, at the very beginning, once they start in on the melodic part, Derek will Jason would then throw out an idea, and Derek immediately responds with a similar phrasing. And they do that like 5 or 6 times in a row. We
could take a look at it. Do you happen to know at what point in the video?
That's probably within the first couple minutes when you can hear that. Here's Jason is in the groove. He's starting to riff, and then Derek gets We go to full screen.
This is the beginning, of course.
Which is an improv.
Pretty good seats you got there. Pretty good location.
Absurd.
All right, I'll see you guys in 17 minutes and 25.
Yeah,
It really is.
I love the angle you were able to get. It really is a great video.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm sure I'm gonna I've been mostly listening to I think whoever did the thank you for this, whoever recorded that, because that one was posted also on archive.org. I could thank the tapers. There was a couple of people.
Z-Man recorded.
Z-Man, and I think there were a couple of people who taped that show. I think another one went up. That video is damn awesome, and you got a bunch of great videos. Thank you for that. And David in the chat's been posting his on YouTube. I don't know if YouTube used to let you just search Tedeschi Trucks Band recent uploads. Now it makes you choose today. It used to do it exactly in order of recent uploads, but now it kind of tweaks. And Instagram did the same dumb thing. You can't search recent Tedeschi Trucks hashtags. Just show me the damn just show me it in order. Just show me people's posts about the subject matter or the people I follow in. Okay,
I'll put in Tedeschi Trucks Band Atlanta, and then I'll put 2026 kind of thing. I'll give it a little more specificity.
Yeah. I mean, once in a while, you can search on Instagram and it'll show you some recent stuff. But honestly, it just my algorithm shows me the videos anyway. A lot of the people just like yourself just posting the videos. It just happens to just show it in my feed. But I want to be able to search and not. I'd be able to do a comprehensive search. Well, everyone complains about Ticketmaster, so I'll be the one to be. This will be the hill that I die in about these algorithms and search functions.
That's a point
angering me.
Get frustrated over.
Z-Man is an Atlanta institution. Did I meet Z-Man when I was down? I feel like David probably remembers if I connected with Z-Man the time I was able to visit down there. But yeah, that is pretty damn awesome. That memory of Elizabeth Reed. Every single version is so special, and it just takes you on this journey, and it takes on, I don't know, again, I come back to that word, processing it. I'm like, I don't know. I haven't really dug into that song yet. I haven't listened to it while I'm driving. I haven't listened to it while I'm getting ready or working out yet, or going through something emotionally there's all these different, I don't know. It takes on more meaning each time you're listening to it, and you appreciate it emotionally, but you also appreciate it just musically, just the talent and the musical choices and everyone's phrasing and the integration of the band together. I guess I like TTB and Allman Brothers Band as well.
I have to compliment you on your cinematography, whatever. I was just watching it. The part where Brandon's playing, where Gabe is playing. And you're on the other side of the stage, but you capture Gabe in the video above Brandon, and so you see the band and Gabe in the same shot. It's pretty cool. It's hard to explain without watching it, but it's a very cool shot.
And see, I used to do this for a living. I'd have 8 or 9 cameras, but the whole point was to be able to see exactly what's going on, who's being featured. And so now the whole thing is I'm not doing that anymore, but I just try to do that with one camera. And I'm listening, so that I want to be able to then move and try to move elegantly to where it's not like an abrupt change, But yeah, the screens now add a whole beautiful component that they've added
and
element.
that's a topic that might be interesting to dive into a little bit, is just how their light shows / screen, the videos that they're putting up, how they're using that now. It's pretty cool what they're doing with that.
Yeah, in the past 2 years, 'cause 2 years ago they had the lanterns hanging, and that was it. And then last year they've really just stepped up the game now in terms of and it also relates to the idea of playing some larger venues too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it used to be really like super classy, and it was all about the music, and I was so happy with that. And then there was that brief period where, as they were getting ready to do the stadiums, and they had these super bright lights, and they were just going crazy with like shooting lights everywhere, and it was driving some people nuts, just depending on where your seat was in the level.
That conversation was had on this podcast.
Remember?
And I have a feeling maybe some feedback got back to the band about maybe.
But I think now they've settled into where they're figuring out how to use some of the newer techniques, whatever it is. That they have a fabulous show that incorporates those elements in a classy way.
It's seamless. It's totally seamless, and it enhances the music. It doesn't take away from it, and I think it works very well. I haven't been at any shows this year yet, but it was pretty damn seamless and integrated. It made the shows better, seeing it live, but also, just watching whatever streams pop up, just how it looks on video. It looks like
because it's all tight into the stage a lot of times, in smaller venues even. And Soul Sweet Song has really developed, all the different artists that are now incorporated into that video with
tribute.
Dickie's up there now, and it's become really that kind of sewn into the new technology. It's very nice.
They're upgrading the experience for us who are lucky enough to know that we should be there, and we are.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of I bet a high percentage of, I don't know, I guess a high percentage of TTB fans and people go to the shows are people who've been to, like you guys, like me, like many shows. I bet more than half the people who go to TTB shows have been to, I don't know, what's the average amount? I mean, that's an interesting question. I wonder if like the marketing or whatever, they have that, they must have that information if it's all Live Nation, Ticketmaster for them. Well, I guess there's some independent whatever.
The database.
Yeah.
You're saying they're keeping names of everybody who comes?
it's essentially, yeah. But TTB, I'd rather TTB have that information than the government. That's a different conversation.
Anyway, it was really. So my intuition of Atlanta, and it just so happens, as I was saying before, is they didn't do any interaction at Sun, Sand, and Soul from what has been reported. But boy, did that not stay the same. Richie Davies and he was driving us over there about 5:45, and we drive by, and we could hear the sound check, and it was "Let Me Roll It." It was the Wings song. And then once Jason's set was ending, and they wound up doing it with Susan, then we understood why are they sound checking that song right before Doors. And it's because it was for Susan to get in there and get in the groove with it. And so that was pretty fab. It was fun to see Susan jamming with the boys without Derek there, in a sense, because she's as badass as anybody. And I really appreciated that, and I feel that she this year I think she's just even that much more all over it, into it, passionate, confident, whatever all it is. And I'm hearing her playing, continuing to evolve, where she's not playing the same licks all the time either. And it's just, I'm really enjoying listening to her not only play, but sing this year, because it feels like she's pushing the boundaries as Derek does. I guess that's why they're,
and I think they're doing this on the album too, pushing boundaries. And Susan with her guitar playing sounds great on the album too, on Future Soul.
And she does some vocals on there that are from a stylistic template she's never even sung from before, few of them. And then she nails it all, whatever she decides to do. And I think that must have been one of Mike's, the producer's, goals for her. How do we showcase the lead singer a little better? And because I hear that on that record, that she's being showcased more as the lead singer. Because after all, she is.
No, and we should mention it that they're doing the national anthem at the Kentucky Derby on I don't know if I'll be able to actually watch it live, unfortunately, but I'm sure I think it will be aired on TV.
5 p.m. is when the race starts. So I know they cover all that for an hour or whatever it is in advance. So I know the NBC feed would have the national anthem.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and
it's normally put it on, so I would say it'll be on right before the race.
And it's just Derek. It's just Derek and Susan, right? It's not the. I would assume that. Yeah, that would be
somebody then I think just put that in an article. I don't know if the band would have ever disseminated that.
Right. I think somebody who's not super familiar with that technical detail of how like the band name versus Derek. Yeah. So it's I'm sure it's just Derek and Susan, but I'm pretty excited to hear like what they do with it. Have they done it? They did it to get. Did they ever play? Did they do one at Jacksonville together? I know they've both done.
Last year, I don't think he played. I don't think he was playing.
But he has done the national anthem. Was it him just playing slide guitar or him just playing?
Yeah.
It wasn't with Susan?
No, the one you're talking about, I think, was during COVID, and it was just him playing slide. And then she did one live at a game, and it was just her.
Yeah, she's sung it many times. I didn't hear his version, though.
I got to think, since he's being mentioned, too, they must be having a duet style.
Could be.
Slide.
I would assume so, yeah.
With slide, I assume it'll be fairly heavy on the slide guitar.
Banner with Derek playing slide.
Should be fun.
Well, my expectation, and this is a totally unfair expectation, I mean, the consensus greatest whatever renditions, at least this is my opinion and what I've heard, is the Stapleton, Chris Stapleton at the Super Bowl. That I'll listen to that like it's a hit single every once in a while. I'll just go to YouTube and just check that out because you got coaches crying. You got it's like, did we just tell people in the comments? Did we just kill the country? Like it's really that. It's really I think it's the best version ever. But then there's also the Marvin Gaye. If you've ever seen Marvin Gaye at the NBA All-Star game, I think it was like 83 or 84. He does it with like a beat, but just it's also very, very, very moving. And I'll go back to that one. These are the kind of renditions where you forget that there's a game and that you're there not for this. Like those two do that. And I guess like Whitney Houston's people point to as a big moment, but I think that's more maybe the context of like the war and the first one we've had a few awards where we like that. That's a different conversation. Right. But yes, those are the three that jump out at me. So they got to be up there. They have that's the bar for me for TTB and Derek and Susan is to at least become in the ballpark of like those three popular amazing versions.
High bar.
It's 2026 and they're getting to do that now. So there's definitely things are loosening up in terms of the rest of the world being willing to understand how great these guys are and that they should be having them do these things. And whoever's helping open these doors for them, it's starting to happen.
People are going to hear that slide guitar. I mean, they're going to discover, a lot of people are going to discover Susan's voice, I'm guessing, too. Maybe younger people especially, or just people who just don't, anyone. But I think that slide guitar, assuming he plays that, I think something about that's really going to, I mean, that's pulled me in as a fan initially, was a huge part of finding them. So I think that's going to be really like something that's going to get people talking at least to some degree and get some more attention for them. I think they're going to make some new fans from them. Maybe I'm crazy. I think people are going to see this. They'll Google them and they'll start following them. Maybe not people may not see the national anthem and buy tickets the next moment. Maybe they will, but
so many people still have never heard of them. So
you know who I know, not to cut you off, but you know how I know people don't know about this band? On social media, you'll see people complaining about not hearing good music. They'll say, "Oh, the music industry sucks." If they're complaining about music, they do not know of TTB, because TTB also opens you up to new music that you like, new music and new artists, but also past music, deep cuts, different genres, the whole world. You get an education. So whenever I see people on social media, whatever platform it is, saying there's no good music out there, music stinks now, and not really, I don't know, I kind of assume like, oh, you probably don't know what TTB is, because you probably at least at the very least saying that they're an exception. And I say that obviously I'm biased and my love for them is unconditional, but I think there's something to that. Like you're exposing yourself as someone who doesn't know of TTB, and it's not your fault. I mean, if you don't know it, you don't know, but when you know, you know.
I was checking out of my hotel, which was just half a mile from the venue yesterday about noon, and a guy who was not close to my age was mentioning the woman at the counter. So what was going on last night with the music thing or whatever? And she didn't really know. And so we both stepped outside at the same time. I was going to get my Uber. And then I explained to him what it was. It turns out he was of a demographic. When I mentioned the variables, he's going, wow, sounds like something I need to. And I just said, people get to be, in my generation, older, and they lose a lot of their zest for music. Life has kind of gotten in the way, and they got their careers. I think we've talked about this before. And so there's a lot of people who just are no longer even curious about what's out there. And if that's what maybe being on the Kentucky Derby will then soften that up.
I think there are, I'll say like, there are boomers who like the kind of music we like, and I don't think they realize, some people don't realize, and I mean, again, I'm biased, whatever, and all that, but you kind of are, you don't realize that what Tedeschi Trucks Band is, you're getting Janis Joplin and Elton John and the Doors and the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and all the black blues, all the American black blues artists and soul. You're getting like you're getting all of this, and with a sort of a virtuosity that's unique into itself, like otherworldly talent, especially from Derek. Okay, I mean, Derek is we all, I think consensus, say is one of the best, if not the best guitar player in the world. Maybe some other guitar players know more arpeggios, but in terms of who's going to move us, or they could play faster, but in terms of who moves the human soul, like on this planet, I mean, it's hard to, I think it's unmatched.
And for those who do go, who's ever heard such a great improvisational trombone player before? It's not something that ever is really exposed to at all. There's so few of them. And so that's another thing that happens. People wind up, and just listening back to the show the other night, whenever anybody's soloing, that crowd was into it. They would cheer everybody who was soloing. It wasn't all about Derek and Susan. There's something for everybody. Like, and I think people do have their personalities. I think I've talked about this on different streams and podcasts, how personalities, I think, gravitate towards certain instruments. Like, even as a kid, if you don't stick with something, I think there's certain drummer personality, even just in the Muppets or something like that. You could think about some of the instruments that like they play and what people are drawn to. And even the ear, I think, people hear music differently. Some people hear more of the bass or the rhythm, or people, focus more on maybe vocals. So if you do love female vocalists, this is a band you're going to love. If you're a guitar guy, obviously this is a band you're going to love. And I've had conversations about like how powerful the drumming is. So that kind of like gets a lot of the hard rock, like metal people even like interested in like TTB, because you have such a powerful rhythm section to the band. So there really is a great entry point for anyone. And I'll see people post in Facebook groups sometimes saying, I want to share the music with a friend. What song should I send to them? And of course there's no really wrong answer, but I'd say meet them where they live. If they listen to a lot of female singer-songwriters, you find a good Susan flip. If they listen to jam band music, send them Passaquan. I think there's entry points for everybody where they can fall in love with this band. And Richie Davies, who I was there with, he's got a good buddy who's 20 years younger, who's a huge Jason Isbell fan. And so he was there, and I don't know if he'd seen TTB, might have, but he was all psyched about Jason. And then I guess afterwards he asked Richie, is TTB always like that? As in, oh my God. And Richie went, yeah, they're always like that.
Yeah, it's always fun to live vicariously through people who are like first timers like that, for sure.
Garrett, have
Yeah,
you seen
I
them?
think-
Have you seen them in Atlanta before, Garrett?
TTB, I'm trying to think. I was in Macon for the Dickie Betts thing. TTB, I don't think, from coming up in memory right now, I don't think I have. But I'm kind of like you, Michael, where you said, you're like, okay, what show am I gonna do? And I mean, Alpharetta is only 3 hours from me, so it's an easy car ride. And then I'm like, Macon, Georgia's not that far away. I'm like, and just the sit-in possibilities are what always enter my mind. I'm like, okay, you got Atlanta where a lot of popular musicians live. You got Macon, Georgia. Who knows who they could pull? And I mean, we got Jason Isbell sitting in with them, which was incredible. And then at the end, they pull up Zach Brown.
Yep.
And me and my buddy looked at each other like, Zach Brown, really? And I'm like, I love Zach Brown, but it just wasn't expected. And I mean, I knew they were friends because, Zach played the Greg Allman tribute night and did Midnight Rider with Greg and Vince Gill. So I knew they knew each other, but still, I didn't expect a Zach sit-in, and he did a phenomenal job on vocals with Susan and Mike. I mean, that version's incredible. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to "Feeling All Right."
So
I think that's what
Zach did play with them. Somebody said at Red Rocks about 8 or 9 years ago, or something.
I don't doubt that.
it's interesting. Fans are often able to like trace back where these people initially connected at this Hall of Fame thing, at that Hall of Fame thing. This is where they met Cyndi Lauper. So it's like, I mean, that's also like a testament, I think, to how Derek and Susan carry themselves, and that they're able to continue to expand their network and their network of influence and influences to like younger artists. I forget what interviews Derek was talking about Susan discovering the Harry Styles song and that story. Like, so it's interesting to hear how these sort of relationships and ideas where they come from.
So I turned on, because I also shot the Zach, Feeling All Right. And I somehow then turned on closed captioning. And at the very end of the song, and I didn't really hear it, Zach basically says to the crowd, if you guys don't get that this is it. This band is it. I mean, those aren't the exact words, but he was like, he wanted to go out of his way to say there's nothing else like this. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what most all the musicians who have any experience witnessing them all feel they're the greatest.
I mean, he nailed it when he said that. I mean, I'm like, there's a guy who gets it, and it's not because he's in the music business. I don't think. I think he just recognizes talent, and
yep.
He just, I think there were a lot of people in that audience that didn't know who Tedeschi Trucks was really, and they came because they were Jason fans. I know I had some around me, and I think at the end of the night they all left really impressed. I really think so, because I know the people next to me were kind of making comments, and I think they knew who Derek was, but they didn't really know the name. And because I heard the guy next to me several times going, man, that guitar player is really good. He's blowing me away. And I looked at him and I'm like, he used to play with the Allman Brothers. And he's like, really? I was like, yeah, I was like, did you watch Allman Brothers back when Warren and O'Teal were with him? And he was like, yeah. And he's like, but I don't remember the guitar guy. He goes, maybe it's been that long. I haven't watched any YouTubes. I said, well, go back and watch. I said, that's Derek in his prime with the Allmans and Warren. And I said, this now is incredible. But I said, go back and rewatch Derek and then look up some of the stuff TTB has done. And I said, I think it'll blow your mind. And he goes, oh yeah. He goes, I'm going to do it for sure. So that was at least one guy that they left an impression on.
Well, and just the videos I've posted, I haven't never seen this kind of response to the stuff I'm posting.
No, I haven't either.
But there's a lot of comments from both sides. Jason fans going, oh boy, whoa, what was this? And then a lot of TTB fans going, I had heard of Jason, and I judge that him doing Reed with Derek, was really compelling for everybody there. I think that's a fair statement.
It gives it not that it needs it, but it gives him Jason. I think it gives it for TTB fans at least. I feel like it gives him a certain amount of like credibility. It's a big deal. It's a big compliment to like be invited by Derek to play such a special, Allman Brothers tune. That's he's played with Warren and for a long time.
Well, Derek knew he could hang. It wasn't like
right. Exactly.
Jason is a super accomplished guitar player. I thought his set, to me, his music's darker and it's denser, and it doesn't uplift me. It doesn't uplift me the way TTB does. And that's why I keep coming back to TTB, because they take me wherever I am and they rocket me up into ecstasy. And no other band has ever done that. And Jason said the other night, I was getting a little depressed.
Now, it's funny because you kind of mentioned this in your video too. Maybe we'll watch that at the end of this after we recap Raleigh. But now you're like intriguing me. I'm like, is it that dark? Because I'm not super familiar with his music, to be forthright. But you got me curious, even though
dark as in other kinds of dark. A lot of his lyrics are not uplifting, and they have an autobiographical tint, and a lot of them now, since he
that's a good
that's
a good description, of his music, comparatively speaking.
Maybe it's a good contrast,
And I don't know if anybody's seen his HBO documentary that they did when he was still with Amanda, but it kind of shows the roots of all this craziness in his life, and how tortured and what a runaway alcoholic he was for so long. And that he's not what TTB is. TTB wants, and I think Susan has so much to do with why TTB is the way they are. They want to help uplift people, but not in the most obvious ways. But just at the end of 2 hours, you're uplifted. And I just don't experience other bands having that kind of impact that way.
I want to bring in Larry James. He's in the waiting room. I see you. And also, I want to just ask if you guys have any more comments about any of the songs from Atlanta, and then we should move on to Raleigh. And there he is. What's going on, Mr. James?
Hello, and greetings to my fellow fans.
Oh, what is going on? You feeling all right? No pun in,
so to speak.
Feeling all right. Yes,
nice. You were there last night, of course. You weren't at Alpharetta.
No, I couldn't make that trek. I made the other one, but would have been a nice 2-night run, but 5 hours apart, you have to pick and choose in your southeastern dates.
Right. We were just I got you. Garrett and Michael, did you have any other comments about any of the other songs or performances? I know we could talk about all these songs all day.
You remember for a moment. I enjoyed when Derek broke the string. His tech came out with his backup, and Derek just kind of shooed him away, and then the crowd cheered. And then Derek goes to fix it, and the crowd cheered even louder. And then he gave the solo to Brandon, and then the crowd cheered again, at least out where I was. So they got to. And then when he got done changing the string and stood up, there was a big cheer again. So I think the crowd kind of was like, hey, this guy really is human. He knows how to, change the strings and all that. That was a fun moment for me to see him not only break one, which is rare for the shows I've seen anyway, but to see the crowd reaction to it and how everything and how they responded to Brandon. I mean, it seems to me the last couple of years they've really turned Brandon up. I don't know if it's just where I've been sitting, I didn't notice it as much, but I definitely noticed it in the mix again at Alpharetta. And man, he's an incredible bass player. I gotta give him a big shout out.
Fire was coming out of my speakers.
They've talked about how he has himself stepped forward more in the past 2 years, where he's really, and that's what I feel is going on now. Everybody is all in 100%. They've all been supported, and everybody's just going for it.
I wonder if this is just a very, very tiny detail, but maybe like on like some subconscious level, he was previously the youngest person in the band before Isaac, correct? Or do I have that? I think that's true, right?
That's probably true. Yeah.
So he's no longer the youngest. So that in some ways maybe you're at or the newest. So
or the
in some
newest.
Ways, maybe,
yeah.
So like you just feel a little bit more comfortable. Like you I don't know, just his dynamic within the band is evolving and changing. Like
they've done albums. They've done albums. They've done they've been doing this now.
Right.
With this lineup for 2 years or whatever it is, 2-3 years.
Brandon's a really good bass player, and it's a funny thing with bass. You can be going along and listen to music and not pay attention to the bass just because you're concentrating on so many other things going on, right? Sometimes you just have to remind yourself, hey, listen to this guy. This is really good. Sometimes I wonder if it's all mental, right? Like, does the mix really change and some nights you notice him more, or is it because we're just, our mind just clues into it? But he is a great bass player. If you pay attention to what he's doing, it's very enjoyable.
And I wanted to mention that I think it's in the video too. Derek goes and sits down to change the string, and he's as cool as a cucumber. Yeah. There's no franticness. And it's just like he's just doing it.
Yeah. He's definitely a in the pocket kind of bass player, and he's always kind of shown that, from his early inception with the band, I guess 2019 or so, but he's evolved, like the rest of them. They take him talent, and then they've kind of morphed it into what they want as a solid backbone bass drummer, bass drum relationship. And you could really hear it. I could really hear it in with Willie the Pimp last night. It was just phenomenal, and they all kind of looked at Brandon. He was holding it down while the rest of the band was just really grooving. And it's just one of those situations where once the band's locked, that's it.
So
there's no other question.
I just say they're firing on all cylinders as much as they ever have. Mm-hmm. It feels like to me.
And keep on growing for me, man. Watching Isaac and Falcon, that really last night was the first time. I mean, when the screens went on to them, I really started watching what they were doing, and I was so drawn in by what they do with that song. It was, I can't even describe how good that was. It was just, it's incredible watching two drummers do what they do. It's just, and Derek and Falcon's eye contact, I really, they have something special, which I think Derek probably has that with every member of the band. But there are several times the screens would show Derek and Falcon looking at each other and just kind of staring. And I'm like, man, I would love to know what they are saying with their eyes. Yeah. It was drawing me in because I'm like, man, I would love to know the discussion they're having with their eyeballs right now.
They're to speak to something Michael was talking about earlier in terms of like filming the band. I think they're inherently like very cinematic just from the fact that there's so many of them and that they're raised up and there's natural depth to the band. Just thinking about even Derek in the foreground and Kebbi doing his sax solo thing on like a Midnight in Harlem intro or whatever the case may be. So like I think just their and how they look, they're all very stylish, even without seeming like they're trying. They look like musicians, in some regard. But they're also very down to earth too, and accessible, and they're not gaudy.
I pinged Emmanuel just about an hour ago saying thanks for a fun night last night, and he wrote back, no problem, I had a great time. On a flight to New Orleans right now. I'm like, have fun, get some sleep. You're going to need it. It's like, I just thought I'd throw him out because I enjoyed his solos last night. It was, again, being a new artist in the band. He's just blossoming. And
obviously not a new artist in general.
Not at all. They wouldn't be in the band if he was,
He's bringing a unique his own voice to the band to that instrument, and Echem and past members of the band definitely brought their own talents,
absolutely.
To the band, unique talents. But I think he definitely is bringing his own. Yeah, he has a voice, and he has a voice in TTB, and that's been cemented by his touring and his work on the album with them.
he's brought another lead instrument, if you will, to the band, and that's one thing that Efren kind of have to. If there was any critique, he provided wonderful backing and everything, but he didn't provide or didn't have maybe the same opportunities to do that, maybe with the more jazz background. But Efren, when he plays, is triumphant. You know, he's providing this like heavy rhythmic, punchy kind of trumpets that not only complements Derek's, you know, powerful guitar work, but also gives the rest of the band like this elevation of like, where's the music going to go now?
Yeah, I was listening to Alpharetta on the Internet Archive, and Till You Remember, he has a long intro to that, and it's
great,
fucking phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Agreed.
he drew me in
That's what
as
I've been
soon as
thinking
he
about.
started that. I was drawn in. I was like, wow, I don't know where they're going, but I'm enjoying the heck out of this intro because I've seen him. I think I've only seen them with him maybe a couple of times, and I really this last time got the sense of what a player he is, and he started that intro, and after a few notes, I was really drawn in, and I'm like, man, this could go on for several minutes, and I'd be fine.
And you were saying that was your first Until You Remember live?
As far back as I can remember, yeah, I think, no pun intended, but I think that was my first one.
Yeah.
No, so you got that, and you got a Derek broken string, and I feel like those are the kind of little moments and the special things that like you can't necessarily predict in advance, but like those are the things when you go to a show, you're like, where other fans, you know, because it's like you're saying that got the biggest cheers. So to be present for those types of moments are fun. Like a moment even when I was in the Beacon and the lights went out during Life is Crazy. But like those little moments, you don't know that they're going to happen, but they're memorable and that they make shows that much more special on top of what's already going to be special with every TTB show.
You may have gotten a broken string and a long intro. Did you get 4 encores?
No, that was wild.
You did not get that. So yes,
I think we got 3.
Was that just was North Carolina just an evening with, or who was there an opener? Oh no, there was an opener. There was
an opener.
JJ Gray was the opener.
Yeah, I'll read the set list here. Do I Look Worried? Crazy Crying? Who Am I? Hero?
I get exhausted. It's
I got the right. I got the right night here.
Yeah,
Hero, High and Mighty, Willie the Pimp. It's So Heavy. Part of Me. Sky is Crying. Soul Sweet Song. Get What You Deserve. You Can Make It If You Try. Everyday People. Ohio. Bound for Glory. I Want More. Bex Bolero. I Can't Make You Love Me. Loving Cup. Leaving Truck and Volunteering. So I missed some of these. I don't want to say what I missed because you're gonna get people get mad at me. But this was a hell of a set list, and I'm glad that. Thank you, Mama DD Radio, and I think it was Paul Winslow streaming it on the Mixler. Hopefully, will there be a recording posted on archive.org for this show? Do we know? We don't know.
I believe I saw one posted, but I have not seen it on archive. Sometimes the links get posted beforehand, before the app shows up, but I did see someone posted a link to it. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully. I think so. Hopefully. But yeah, to Get What You Deserve, You Can't Make It If You Try, and Everyday People with Todd Smalley popping in, Derek Trucks band representing. But yeah, what is the theory behind the did they realize they had more time than they thought with the encore? Did they end it too early? Is it like that doesn't happen with TTB?
No. They must have just been they were having a good time. I think they just got carried away. They didn't know how to end those songs, and they just kept going one into the other, you know?
Exactly.
They actually started with the Susan and Gabe, the Bonnie Raitt song.
Right, I Can't Make You Love Me.
Which wasn't on here. Yeah, they did that, and then
I see. I haven't even looked. I'm looking. Here's the paper. Yeah, the paper doesn't even have half of those.
So
it doesn't.
They must have had more time than they thought. But I have to say, I just love the way they do Loving Cup. I mean, obviously they have the band that can pull that off with the horns and everything, but they nail it. And Susan nails that. Susan is singing the harmony part.
I love when she does those harmonies on
that would be Keith. That would be Keith, right? It's so crazy to think that that Susan is singing Keith, but you can imagine that she has no problem singing as well as Keith, and that her and Mike together with that harmony in that, you know, in the midst of that song, which is so gritty. I just love it.
I love what they do on Under the Knife also. That's not in this set list, but off the new one. That's super cool.
I thought that was going to be the encore because Mike approached the stage after the duet between her and Gabe. And I was like, okay, here we're going to go Under the Knife to close the show. I'm like, that's good, you know. And then,
we got Susan. I was going to say, we got Suzanne in the chat saying Tracy M posted Alecia sitting in with lettuce on Nugs 11 p.m.
Ooh, I don't check that out. Yeah.
Oh, tonight. Yeah. That's probably New Orleans. Yeah. That's probably awesome.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is this the Tracy that she's referring to? Hey friends, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got our Alecia a little bit of
Tracy
Bound for
McKay.
Glory.
Yep. We did get a Bound for Glory, which did you catch that the Mahone or Mahone intro tease?
Right. I did. That's a DTB throwback.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure. I'm like that's. I think there were a few teases in there. There were a few teases of a few things in there.
Yeah, I mean, with Todd Smalley there and a couple of songs that they already played. I mean, the whole evening kind of had that vibe. You know, it's very friends and family kind of vibe. But with the Loving Cup, you know, it's a great song for TTB, but that's not an encore. Like, there's no way to end that in the way that they do it. So it was like natural transition for Derek just to go right into Leaving Drunk. And then when he was already in the thick of it, he was kind of smiling. It was like, you know, it's going well, you know, well, let's keep carrying this on. And so they went into Volunteer Slavery, and Susan was like, okay, well, we're going to keep going.
And that was no guests, right?
No. Yeah.
That's an interesting, I mean, we could check because this ttbase.net. Thank you. They're awesome. I'm on them right now. Like,
yeah.
Do we know when was the last time they closed the show with Leaving Trunk Volunteer Slavery? I can't even think of a show off the top of my head, especially without a guest. That's been like the Bring on the Guitar guest song for the last couple of years, you know.
Yeah. You could tell that the rest of the band was not ready because it was like Derek was like, this is what's happening. And it was like awesome to watch him direct, you know, Mike and Mark and Alecia, like, now it's your part. And like, because the tempo was going faster than they were normal, you know, but it was like once they were locked in, they knew what to do, but it was a little sudden for them. And you could see that he was like, I don't care what time it is. Look, we're going to do this, you know? And I think we got close to about 10:40, 10:45, you know, so it's almost
punting's part of the deal.
Yep.
Go.
Just go. Just go. It was great. It was great to see, you know, him do all that and direct it. And
another one that stuck out to me was It's So Heavy. That's one that hasn't been as much in the rotation lately, and that, to me, that's always a treat. It's, you know, it's a little bit of a slow one, but it was cool to have that in the set.
Classic TTB.
Yeah, Sky is Crying was fantastic. I hadn't seen that. I don't think I've ever seen that in all my years. I mean, I went back through, maybe I saw it once, but you know, I'm like, whatever, slow blues. But then I really think about the time watching Derek just tear through that, like,
right,
you know, in the same salt as, like, you know, when the Allman Brothers would do it, and just really powerful stuff there. It was great.
No slide on that guitar. Usually that's usually no slide, right?
And actually Susan's amp went out during that song, and Gabe took this first solo, and then Derek took the long solo, and then her amp was fixed, then she finished it. So it was very interesting to watch. And when it went out, when Derek like motioned over to Gabe, was like, do this, and like, because it wasn't ready, and so he was like, okay, I'll take the solo. It's a lot of directing from the stage, a lot of improv. It was great.
Yeah, there was a lot of technical issues with her amp. It was ongoing for several songs, but it was noticeable in that one because she gave up her lead. You could see her do it, you know, but they handled it. It was interesting. She was having a fit at a couple of different points.
Yeah,
I don't know what was going on really, because you could hear her, but seemed like she couldn't quite get into her leads as easily.
My theory is that she blew it during Hero. That's just a joke, but she's so into that song. I mean, I was like excited when they started playing it, and I was like, okay, here it is. I get to see grunge TTB, and she more leg lifts than I've seen in any other song. She's like punching the air. She's like throwing her arms out. She's stomping. She's all into it, all the way. It's awesome.
That one's really grown on me. I mean, I love these songs pretty much first, second listen. You know, love at first listen, but like that song's definitely like it's grown on me because it is sort of a unique sort of departure, as we've talked about, more of a grunge vibe. And John Davis last episode did say it's also kind of a 70s album oriented rock type album at the same time. But I think the fact that he sees it like that and recognizes the grunge element too. But I think again that just like adds to the timeless quality, in my opinion, of Tedeschi Trucks Band's music. That know you're getting stuff from the 90s, but also a feel from the 70s in the same song. They're able to really seamlessly combine different time periods and different artists and their own, musical, history themselves as a band and sounds into just making they're combining things to make something totally unique and totally new. And the fact that they don't, I don't know, like I keep talking about, they're not like a victim of any time period or sounds. I think it's because they have such talented musical instrument players. I think that adds to the timeless element. They're not, they're not digital, electronic, AI. They're not victims to technology or top 40 sounds or anything like they're very true to themselves in their talents.
They're true musicians.
Mike, the producer, because that was primarily Falcon's song, Hero.
Right.
Obviously, it wasn't fitting the template of what TTB normally has done. And I'm just imagining that Mike, the producer, was like, hey, let's try to do, and it was more like an 80s, 90s production style on that, which I had never heard them do before. And her vocal on the album, she's never sung like that. It's like
how can you? I'm trying to think how I can describe like the verses. It's kind of like almost there's like a serious stoic quality to her voice, maybe in a sense. It's
pushing it. She is like
on the choruses, but even on the verses, the way she sings, there's a very haunting, controlled, purposeful, serious quality to it.
First few times I was listening to it, I thought of Annie Lennox, and then I thought of Jonette Napolitano from Concrete Blonde, which is not artists that she would normally be thought of as in the same ballpark with. But then the way she executes on that, boom! It's not like it was a stretch for her. She was able to go into new territory and just hit it out of the park.
Well, it reminds me of State Trooper, like the vocal growl she adds to that one. And I think that I kind of have a premise behind like that she could do this. Like, it's
that's a
like
good call.
It's like that song. Like to me, a lot of people are like, oh, that's quintessential Bruce. I'm like, it really isn't for me. I'm more of the Born in the USA kind of guy. So I really see that connection of them pushing themselves in a different genre or a different boundary, which is great. This is what we want. We don't want classic 70s, 60s R&B pushed all the time because for them it gets boring.
That's what Derek has spoken directly to this in the interviews for Future Soul. That's what Mike represented was let's pull the rug out from it and just see what we can do here.
Right.
And he was like, that's what he wants to do. Derek doesn't want to be bored. Mm-hmm. He's got that creative soul, that true artist creative soul, where he wants to feel engaged. He wants to feel excited all the time.
Well, I don't
Terry,
know
yes, Hero. I can't stop listening. I'm number 0. Thank you, Terry, for the.
Yeah. I want to know why, and there's got to be a story behind it, for the Willie the Pimp cover. And there may not always be an answer, but like usually they don't bring a cover to the repertoire. And
that's a
is it Mike?
cover, right?
I think it. Yeah,
that's a cool song. I went back and I wasn't familiar with it. Is that Mike? Must be Mike. Mike has Mike's.
Do you think Mike is the?
There is a story. There is a story. I think a possible connection. You guys can check this out. But when that was another thing that happened at the Beacon is not only did Derek play Jerry's Tiger.
Right. Oh,
but he also played a Zappa guitar the same night, and that's when they debuted Willie the Pimp.
Okay, there you go. That's right. That's the connection right there. So
I think it was Stern who was interviewing them, and Susan said,
or if not the same night, it was during that run though. But so much attention went to Derek playing Tiger, which was so cool. That's another podcast, right? But but then there was these other guitars because they had that auction. They were all there, and he played that one as well.
I think they mentioned several of them mentioned how fun it was to play. Even Susan said it was fun to play. So
Baby Snake's guitar.
Yeah,
hard to play Tiger. She talked about because it's 14
so heavy.
pounds.
Yeah.
Derek's normal guitar, he said, was 7 pounds.
Wow. Yeah. Well, regardless, I've been waiting for years to hear High and Mighty like jammed out. Like that's first time I heard it from Signs. I was like, this is a great song, but it's 3 minutes. It needs to be like 5+. And I think last night probably pushed into the 7-minute mark before
with full horns. Yeah.
Full horns. They did a long intro between Derek and Susan, kind of trading off licks, more so than they did down at Sensold and Sand. Fantastic transition into Willie the Pimp. I mean, it makes this musical suite of just very heavy guitar focused rock, and it's great.
I love it. I can't wait to keep listening to
that. Was the interesting thing to me that I couldn't quite put my finger on while we were there. And then, but now that I look at the set list, it's like it started out a lot like many other shows recently, right? Do I Look Worried as a common opener,
right?
And then they started with 3 songs from the new album, right? And a lot of the shows, like when they debuted at the Beacon, it was all about the new album. But then that was it for the new album. Next thing you know, they're doing High and Mighty, Willie, and then it just went off the rails from there. So
covers and a combination of quintessential old school TTB and covers.
Right.
So,
I was afraid last night it was going to follow that same path of like, a couple of highlights and then, and it would Bound for Glory, Midnight in Harlem, and then you're done,
Right.
But that was not the case. Like you're saying,
it got interesting.
It got interesting really fast. And it was never choppy or slow. It was just a lot of guitar. And we haven't really talked about the Ohio cover, which, obviously y'all featured at the Beacon a lot, but wow, that is powerful.
Isn't it?
It's very powerful. And I mean, for multiple reasons, not just sonically powerful.
Is it a cover of a cover? Is they're covering someone else's version of?
Yeah, it's
the Isley Brothers.
Nash.
The Isley Brothers, yeah.
Did it, and then
the Isley Brothers.
A year later, the Isleys did it.
Okay,
that's
right.
And they went into Machine Gun.
Right. That one did not, but it was enough distorted. I guess I didn't hear the Machine Gun part of it, but there was a lot of distortion. Derek actually tuned his strings in the middle of it, making this whirl kind of sound, and it's just a very powerful statement to obviously to sing it in this without going super political for the whole issues in Minnesota and
well, in doing that song they're being super political.
Wars.
They are.
They don't go out of their way to then make a point of it. They just do the song.
I don't want to get Adam's podcast banned from the internet, but
that's the way they do it. Yeah,
we haven't mentioned. We're
going there, Adam.
We're not mentioning the other T word here.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about Renee Good, and that's what I thought about when the whole crowd was singing. How can you know?
Yeah, they're able to convey what they want to convey through their music.
Yeah,
I think in a way that doesn't alienate fans across the spectrum.
They don't care at this point.
I like how they do Ohio. It's got kind of a slower a kind of a grimier, slower version. It's really cool how they do it too.
Yeah.
If
It's powerful.
Check out the Isleys version.
Yeah, I got it pulled up. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out later.
They're not exactly doing that like note for note either. I mean, they're still doing their own.
Right, like how they're doing. I always forget who does it too, but
Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
No, but I was gonna say the fire and rain. They're not doing the James Taylor version. They're doing the soul cover essentially of that. So they're smart. They're a soul band. Tedeschi Trucks Band is the main sun sand soul. Sweet soul song.
Sweet soul song.
Oh, sweet song.
Soul is a huge part of the whole deal.
It is.
Yeah. It was.
That's what's missing in some music. Some music at least from today.
Well, I thought last night was exceptional on all fronts with Alecia. The one person, Mark, didn't get a lot of attention, but I feel like that kind of happens. But
he did in Atlanta.
That's good. That's good. I saw y'all got the made up mind.
They alternate. They make sure
that's his hometown too. Atlanta. Is Mark from?
I think so.
It's based out of there
right?
now.
It might be based out of there. Yeah.
Who knows that? Is it Flam?
I did want to bring up the idea of everyone pitching in and buying Kebbi the croaky sunglass holders because he lost his sunglasses twice last night. So maybe we all pitch in and get him like the croaky holders, so his sunglasses won't fall off. But
is that a stage accessory? You're saying? What is it? What is that? I don't know what those holders are.
What I'm talking about, like the ones that people put on sunglasses that don't. Most of the boaters wear them. Anyway, they're called croakies.
Yeah,
anyway.
No, you should. No, you're saying that jokingly, but it is not unusual to.
I was afraid
fans give gifts to the band, and it doesn't always have to be substances or
apparently we
whiskey for Derek. You can do outside the box gifts.
We can give used license plates, apparently, right?
Right. I guess so for the inside of the traveling cases or whatever.
Right.
They're collecting TTB license plates. I don't know how many of those exist, but
so Adam, I did send you also the excerpt of the Susan playing with Jason, and let me roll it. Because it's right at the point where she's singing and then does her solo. And that's pretty fun.
Yeah, let me find that.
I love the comment where Susan comes out and Jason says, "Oh, I thought we were going to bring you down from the rafters, like John Bon Jovi."
Oh, is that
He goes, "Maybe next time." He goes, "We'll just start the song and you can play the whole way down from the rafters." And she gave him this look of like, "I'm too old for that," or something like that. And she smiled at him. And then he came out later and she says, "Oh, I thought you were the one coming down from the rafters."
Hey, Garrett, I wanted to mention the connection with TTB and Zach Brown. They actually performed together in Charleston years ago, 2014, for Zach Brown's music festival they used to have here. TTB played like a daytime set, and then they shared the stage also that night. So they've gone back a while, as friends, and they've known each other a bit.
Okay,
so,
very cool. Like I knew of Zach's appearance at the Greg Allman tribute night, and then I just kind of figured they were friends because he's shown up at different things that they've been at, and so I knew it was there, but still I didn't expect to sit in.
No,
everybody wants to play with everybody wants to play with Derek and Susan. That's what I think it is. Everybody meets Derek and Susan. They know they're like, I don't know, I don't know. I just think about at I mean, because I love the band, and Derek and Susan, but I feel like even at the Jeff Beck tribute overseas, and that was in the UK or whatever. But just watching that, it seemed like when they were on the stage, Derek and Susan, everything was kind of centered around them without them even like forcing it. I think others were deferring to Derek and Susan.
And what was that blues song she did at that event? It's pretty well known, but she did that. The crowd at the end of that in London went wild.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
it was really something.
And there was a little bit of a tamer, maybe even like crowd compared to a different crowd than the Beacon. That's all, and different circumstance, obviously, too, I guess.
But the loudness of the cheering, the mass cheering when she got done singing that song that night was just palpable.
I'm saying they went further. Like it takes more to get the British people to act like the New York City people. So it's the credit to Susan, and maybe they were caught off guard. If you don't know and then you find out, that can be jarring in a great way.
I can only imagine when I do those shows in Japan.
Oh yeah,
those fans are nuts, and they hear great music. So that's going to be quite the fun thing for them, I think, because they'll get huge response in Japan.
Yeah, I forget how listening to some of the few recordings that we do get out of Japan, they kind of clap and they kind of cheer at different. It's
not their first. It's not their first trip, is it?
No, they've been
Japan.
To Japan.
No, for years.
It's been a while.
They've been going. 2010 actually was their first year, or 2011.
They don't. I
know how many times they've been. Probably 5, 6, 7 times, I guess, somewhere in there,
maybe once or twice, but I know they've probably been before.
Because they all love playing there because the people are so into it.
Yeah.
They clap at odd times, like not after a solo or performance, but like
going into the solo or when they start when Susan starts to sing when the verse starts. It's funny, but it's
like almost like here's your part, and they're like, okay, almost like a theater where someone approaches the stage and then that's when they clap. It's very respectful in the same way as like before and after someone performs.
Derek was also in Japan with Clapton.
Oh yeah, that's right. 2007.
We could check out "Let Me Roll It" here. Hopefully I'll try to roll it. We can check out some of it at least.
And there's Susan right directing. Okay, you solo.
Well, she's seen it. Well, she was and is a band leader too, but she's seen Derek send it around the band. I dig it. Oh, I love when TTB does this. I mean, we haven't done this much over the years.
Yeah.
A few good ones around.
Yeah, I saw McCartney last October in Denver, and he did this song also.
Oh, wow.
Well, he should.
Yes.
It's not a bad. It's not a bad job. I mean, again, watching that, just taking a step back. I mean, to be able to cut that solo and then run back to the vocals and be able to kill it is phenomenal. I mean, takes true talent. There's no reason to even question that, but it just reminds you every time you see something like that happen, not in our own band, not in our own changes. This is a familiar song, yes, but with a different band, she can perform. It's phenomenal.
Amen.
Yes, she is.
Amen.
I got to give a shout out to Jason in the 400 unit. I've seen them a bunch, and Tuesday night was one of the best shows from them that I've seen. And I think me and my buddy are both big Jason fans, and we even said it after they got done. We were like, they stepped it up. They felt extra motivated tonight because they knew what was coming after they got done. They knew the powerhouse was coming after they were done. So I think they were a little extra motivated to really put on a good show and get the fans primed and ready for the main event. And they did one heck of a job. I was very impressed, and I didn't think Jason and the band could impress me anymore.
All right. Yeah, the opener in Raleigh, what'd you think of it? I mean, I've seen Mofro 15, 20 times just over the years, and I thought it was kind of a weird setting for them. It was they're better in a bar or kind of a club type setting, so you can kind of really get intimate with the music. But as a warm up act, I didn't feel it as strongly, even though it was a very good performance. I just, not to be too critical, but I thought he left it very mellow. There was a lot of passionate songs, and you weren't ready to rock out after that.
It's got to be tough, opening for Tedeschi Trucks. I had never seen them before, but I wanted to see them because I'd heard good things about JJ Gray, and my wife absolutely loved it. Like she was thrilled, and I thought they were good. I think you described it well. They seemed a little out of place, but I gotta believe it's often that way for openers. Yeah, because they don't get the real sound system. They don't get the full deal, and they're playing in this huge thing, and people are trickling in.
Yeah. There was. I mean, I don't know if y'all talked about this, but the Raleigh crowd was smaller than Atlanta for sure. I mean, I don't know what it was, but I'd say they sold only about maybe 2/3 of that place. So,
which is still a lot of seats, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
full.
I would say it's probably 5,000 to 7,000. Yeah. There wasn't. I mean, I think that place holds 15 plus. I've been going to that venue for too long, and since '92, I saw the Allman Brothers there. '91, and I've never seen that place so empty. So it's and it was a mellow day kind of experience when they started, and I've seen Mofro just tear buildings down with how much power they can put out. But in a club of 500 people or 1,000 people, there's a stage here in South Carolina called the Windjammer right on the beach. They play every year. They're playing July 4th and 5th, and it's maybe 1,000 people, and you can see the ocean behind it, and they destroy it every year. And it's really good stuff. But last night was not that kind of feel or that kind of vibe. But like you're saying, I think their new record is fantastic. I think it's called Rooster. Is that right? If anyone pays attention to their discovery,
it has a rooster on it. I think it has a different name.
Yeah. Okay,
it's called Olusti.
That's right. But I think it's fantastic. It's the songs I've heard off of it are great.
Yeah, it's very good. I enjoy it, and I agree with what you're saying. I mean, obviously, I didn't see the opening slot, but I have seen Mofro a number of times, and like you said, they're always great. And I've seen them. I think I've seen them mostly as a headliner. Yeah, and I think that's when they're at their best because they know they have time. They know they can stretch out. They can take their time. They can do what they want, and they're just comfortable. And maybe it was something about the headlining slot or the opening slot, where maybe they felt kind of rushed. I mean, who knows? It could be a number of things, but I mean, I do agree. I think they are better as headliners, and they find that groove and they stick in it, and I agree. They're better headliners at a smaller club and where you can really feel it and get into what they're doing.
I was kind of hoping JJ Gray would come out and sing a duet with Susan. I think they're too vocal. Awesome. They would have been amazing. I was really hoping that, but good to see Todd Smalley come out. He really is a Smalley guy. He's much shorter than the rest of the. Yeah,
you really noticed next to all the others.
I was like, wow,
he actually is. Yeah, I was just gonna say, you step back and think about it too. It's a Wednesday night in April.
Yeah.
Wednesday night during the school year in April, and 7,500 people are at a concert. It's still pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to
Right.
comment on the day of the week.
But it is
when
you think about it, it's kind of an odd booking. It's like, but as a damn Yankee, which is a Yankee that went south and never went back north, I can appreciate that we're enjoying an outside concert in April, because I wouldn't want to be there in June because it'll be 90 degrees.
I've been there. Charlotte and Raleigh for years have always been the summer shows, and because for some reason they need to play the Live Nation amphitheater sheds, but
people are more ready to party on a Friday night in the summer,
right? And they're always a Friday, and those two shows back to back, because they always go from Raleigh to Charlotte or Charlotte to Raleigh coming from Atlanta. It's usually a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they're always big shows, sold out.
Interesting. The two shows we're talking about are a Tuesday, Wednesday. It's
very off schedule for the Southeast, and that just this year.
I'd be curious to know why, but hey. I was glad to be able to see one last night. I enjoyed it.
There's no weekend when they get touring and they're routing. There's no way it can all just be on weekends. So.
Right?
No. But this year has traditionally been. I mean, the Southeast is ignored basically this year as a touring schedule. Maybe they'll come back next year, but I guess they're going to play Bonnaroo. Is that right? Are they playing Bonnaroo? So that's all right.
Well, you got
New Orleans Jazz this week, right?
In October, they'll be in St. Augustine.
Yeah, that's true.
That's like the tail end.
That's like the tail end, almost the last show. Shows of the year, but U.S. shows.
And then Chicago.
Yeah, which is also traditionally not at that time of year either. So I guess scheduling just kind of got flip-flopped this year, but. Like you said, I'd rather see them in April outside at 75-degree temperatures versus 95. I saw them in Charlotte one year. It was like 105 during the Los Lobos opening. It was the Wheels of Soul tour, and it was unbearable. Like it was like direct heat everywhere in that place,
plus humidity.
And oh god, well, that's a given.
That's the problem. I think that's the issue.
Yeah. So. No rain, which is unbelievable. This spring has been very dry, so usually it's very wet here in the South this time of year. So,
how long did Mofro get? I know Jason got 90 minutes.
Well, they were an opener, not a co-headliner, so it wasn't as much.
I was that was going to be my next question.
I think they got 45 minutes or so. So
okay,
yeah. Just looking at that, Adam. Yeah, they're doing the Eagles shows, then there's Bonnaroo, then Telluride Bluegrass. So that's kind of going into a whole series of festivals.
Yeah, that might be the disruption right there. All the
festivals and
the Eagles, the promos and the this
when
and that.
Every show needs to be an evening with.
They just announced the Newport Folk Festival. That just got announced.
Oh yeah, that too.
They don't play like that's not going to be like some acoustic set.
No.
That would be cool though. I think that would be cool. I don't know.
That's where Dylan played with the band and everybody booed.
Right. That's where he plugged in.
Called him Judas, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Judas.
But now that everyone's plugged in, TTB could do the opposite.
They're not
they
going.
could do an acoustic set. There you go.
I don't think so.
Very folky vibe and Red Rocks.
I'd like to see a future soul acoustic. That'd be kind of interesting.
They just don't do that.
Unplugged, MTV Unplugged kind of vibe.
They used to, Michael. They actually used to break out. I think it was 2014. They would actually have a whole acoustic set in the middle of the show.
They did do like 2, 3, 4 songs.
Yeah,
like 2 or 3 songs.
Yeah,
and they still do that sometimes.
It's been a while, but they used to do that. Yeah,
keep the lamps turned and burning.
That's right.
Yeah, so just gonna say
the Greek. I'm going to be at the Greek there in August in Berkeley.
Ooh, that'll be a fun show.
I'm looking forward to Red Rocks.
I'm going to this. Maybe this.
Both of those. I do. Yeah. I've been doing Red Rocks every year, both nights.
Red Rocks
I'm
is
jealous,
fabulous.
Michael.
I
I'm
wish I
jealous.
could do it every year.
That's why I talk to you guys and all the people going who've been to these shows, because I can live vicariously through everyone and feel like I was there and know what everything smelled like and sounded like and who everyone talked to and what'd you eat and how was it? Was your burger? Was it well? Did they do it medium?
You can't do that with Red Rocks. You can't do that with Red Rocks, Adam. You have to actually.
I had
Experience.
Crappy chicken
In real life
that
is
were
better.
Overpriced.
Hey, you guys are honest. You're honest, and for the most part, it's been constructive criticism and it's never about the music, and it's all about the extra.
I got
the experience
fireworks.
stuff, which is like we're talking about, is getting more and more amazing.
Somebody was shooting off fireworks in the parking lot after the shows. Awesome. So
fireworks on stage, fireworks
in the parking lot. It was great. Classic, after show party.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else we should cover or talk about either show? Anything we else need to mention? Should we watch your video, Michael, the one that you posted? Should we watch part of it? This gentleman posted a very hard. What's that?
Can we pull the posters up from Alpharetta?
Pull the posters up from Alpharetta. We can do that.
Yeah, the Jason one and the TTB one.
He showed the Jason one a minute ago.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about it though.
Raleigh did not have a poster, FYI, if you were looking to.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah, I wanted to confirm.
It's surprising.
I was buying a drink with a guy who had tube on his back. I was like, "Oh, what's the poster like tonight?" He's like, "There isn't a poster tonight." I was like, "You got to carry that around all night?" He's like, "Yep." I'm like, "Okay." So
I wonder if they have something to do with how many people they do expect to come as to whether.
I think that's probably decided ahead of time because they have to commission the artists and all that. But it might have been based off of ticket sales. I don't know.
That's
pretty cool. It's like a Coca-Cola, I guess.
Yeah, I love that one. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, "Yep, I'm grabbing that." As soon as I get in the door, I love the Coca-Cola can and just the whole background is cool to me too.
Yeah,
colorful.
Coca-Cola was founded in Georgia, so there you go.
Yep. Funny, I said that to Adam, and he said, "Yeah, that's nice," till he gets sued by Coca-Cola.
I assumed everything. I'm joking. I assumed everything was on the up.
Yeah, I was just poking fun at you, Adam.
I assumed
with that comment.
I assumed.
I mean, I was even thinking today. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I don't think you can sue off of that. I don't think so. Maybe.
No, but I was thinking, it's probably kind of like the Grateful Dead Steely. The people are okay with it as long as you change it up. As long as you don't directly copyright the original design, I'm sure companies are okay with it.
Right.
Yeah, as long as I play clips and we say an occasional comment over it and are not just playing the content, I don't know.
Right.
And then it's different with like studio recordings versus, I guess, playing live. But I'm navigating these podcasts and live streams and whatever.
And it's a one-off poster. It's not something he's absorbing into his ongoing image.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's fine. We'll have to return to that.
I'll have to get a music lawyer on.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I know one.
We'll talk. We can take a look at the Alpharetta poster also.
Yeah, that one's really cool.
This is the right poster here.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, wow, it's a lot going on in there.
Yeah, we're gonna zoom a little bit because I have not looked closely. What is going on here?
That tree is pretty cool.
What is going on here?
Wow, that's quite psychedelic. What
Future Soul stuff in there?
Tree of Life, maybe.
We're looking close.
Yeah.
I'm not doing a great job for the audio listeners. Definitely subscribe on YouTube if you're just listening to this for the first time. No, it's like a combination of ancient looking images with also like modern future soul kind of images, and also even certain kind of present images, and then you're also getting TTB musical images.
Yeah.
Now,
the road goes on forever kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And It's an interesting
Definitely
coaster.
trippy. Almost,
Yeah.
was this like a Roman Greek kind of? What am I? Almost vibe to it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit, yeah.
It's a little bit like the one they did, I think, from the Fox 2 years ago.
Hmm.
Some of the imagery's similar.
What'd y'all think
Yeah.
of that venue? Have you been there before, Garrett and Michael?
I hadn't.
It's wild.
I love
Yeah,
that venue.
I've been there a couple of times. It's nice. I mean, it was the first time I sat out in the lawn, and like
Mhm.
I was saying earlier, I was amazed at how good the sound was back
Oh,
there. I
yeah.
mean, me and my buddy purposely sat, kind of towards the front of the lawn, dead center, because we're like, well, if nothing else, we can get the best sound in the place. And I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it was it was TTB's guys controlling the sound, and
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it just it was cool how cool it was back there with the sound. I've always been closer, but it
Yeah.
was different to be on the lawn once, and it was a neat experience because I mean, it wasn't overly packed,
Mhm.
but there was a good sized crowd out there.
I've seen fish there for years since they've been playing there, and every time I go, I sit somewhere different, and I've had good experiences everywhere. I've never had a bad experience there.
Did they
Up on
sell
top
it
of the,
out? Do
what's
they
that?
sell it out? Does fish sell it out when they play there?
Oh yeah, it's small for them. It's much smaller than Lakewood Amphitheater, which is the larger venue in Atlanta. It's kind of a destination place because they always play great shows there because it's outside the city in Alpharetta, and there's more amenities, hotels and things for people to hang out. And that back area up along the lawn has like a whole bar, restaurant, bathrooms, and then there's stuff to the side that you can go to, and it's just a great spot. It's trees. When you're sitting on the lawn, you look out, you look at more nature than just urban landscape, which is a lot of what some of the big sheds are. Definitely Lakewood. I mean, that's like urban Atlanta right there. So this is a great spot to go to if you're going to see a show in Atlanta. And it's smaller. I think it's you were saying like 10,000. I think
12.
12,000. Yeah.
Is the official capacity.
Yeah.
This is the right venue, the Raleigh, right? That I'm sharing the picture.
Yeah, that's actually Raleigh, but
Yeah.
we're talking about Alpharetta in Atlanta. But yeah,
Right.
Raleigh, Walnut Hill is kind of that way. It's getting more urbanized over the years. When I first saw the Allmans in 91 or 92, it was like out in the country. Now, 100 years later, we're talking about the city now engulfs it, so it's lost its rural appeal but there's still trees and stuff opposed to just a gravel parking lot surrounded by buildings.
24 years later.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Like the Mirror doesn't do it every day, but yeah. But it was funny going back there. I saw Neil Young and Booker T and MG's there in '93, and Tom Petty. I mean, just years living in South Carolina, we didn't have a venue like that, so we'd have to drive up to Charlotte or to Raleigh. Those were two destinations, and we'd always road trip it. So, or to Atlanta. So, good stuff. Glad we were able to do it. Glad I was able to do it. So,
Good stuff indeed. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate the time and the recaps and the stories. I feel like I was there. I have so much more content to dive into. For sure. Should we watch your video, Michael, and to talk about that for a minute?
We could. I mean, I got motivated. This band just casts a spell on me, and then I want to articulate back out something that's personal that also is relevant to me. And so I was a bit surprised at the response that it has gotten. It certainly wasn't anticipated.
Yeah, for sure. We can pull this up here.
Because I was told that, the response. So, this is about noon or 11 a.m. the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, I'll play this.
Well, it's now the next day, and I'm getting ready to call the Uber for the hour ride back to Hartsfield International Airport. But I am sure glad I figured out this. You know, I've seen it all when it comes to music. And this band continues to be just the greatest band I've ever heard or witnessed. I now proclaim they're the greatest band ever. And that could be debated forever from many directions, and I'm sticking to that judgment. I've been in a bit of a rough spot this year because of some health issues, facing my own mortality, my brother passing, and witnessing up close the devastation of the family trauma that both he and I weathered, but not always so successfully. And all that has just poof, it's gone. This band is the spiritual cleanse of all time. Nothing ever has had this impact on me like these guys do. And, you know, I've appreciated Jason Isbell. He was the opening act. And I was right up in the front row, so the PA and the stage sound was right there. And I had earplugs in, but it got to a point about 2/3 through his set where I was just uncomfortable, emotionally not happy, because his music's really actually pretty dark and pretty dense. So I actually had to get up and walk out for a bit. And luckily I got back just in time to see most of the encore of Susan coming out and playing the Wings song, Let Me Roll It, with Jason. In fact, we heard some of that being sound checked as we drove to the venue. And so I was really curious, what would the juxtaposition be between TTB and Jason? So I took my earplugs out and never put them back in. And I needed them for Jason. I really did. I kept pushing them back in. TTB comes out. I take them out. And it was just pure nirvana from the first note. There's really nothing like this band in terms of how great they are. And that's because of two people, Susan Tedeschi and the maestro, Derek Trucks, one of the most brilliant, naturally gifted guitar players in the history of electricity. This is kind of the way it is. And then they handpicked 10 other people, the pick of the litter, to be in their band. And it's just a phenomenal experience each and every time. And I felt that Georgia, in the Atlanta area, which of course is the spiritual root of the Allman Brothers band, that they would in fact bring something a little bit special. And the jam that they did with Jason when they did In Memory of Elizabeth Reed was incredible. And then Zach Brown coming out to help sing Feeling All Right. These are one-time only events. And my picking Atlanta was good deductive reasoning. I had pretty decent deductive reasoning skills. So this morning I'm all good. Love is in the air. And I'm just happy to be alive. And now I'm fortified to continue on as a 74-year-old man with whatever all goes on within me. And thanks to those guys, thanks to Derek, thanks to Susan. Thank you.
That's it.
Well, it's now the next.
Oh man, thank you. Appreciate you sharing sharing that. That's cool, and posting that. That's super awesome for sure.
And then there was a surprise commenter.
Yeah, where is it? We had a comment from Susan somewhere. There it is. Thank you for your kind words. Heart emoji. So thankful to help heal.
And
That's what they do. That's what they do. That's
verified
super
that
cool.
Was her and David Flam, who's all over all this stuff, said he doesn't remember ever seeing a comment from her anywhere on Facebook. So somebody must have told her, because I don't think she's sitting around scrolling through Facebook all the time.
Maybe on the bus. How's the Wi-Fi?
I did that just to do it.
No, I wasn't
thinking, well, maybe Susan will see. No, it was just me.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm sorry about your brother and life's ups and downs. No, it's great to see that the music can help heal.
I was wondering, because last year it worked that way for me a lot, all the time, and this year things have been a little heavier for me this year, and so I was wondering, okay, am I still going to be able to have that happen? And it did. So that's how potent they are for me. I've never had that before, where I'll be on a high now for probably a week or 10 days just because I sat there and experienced that music from that band. And
we get it. For sure. Oh, I guess
Michael.
I'm gonna just quickly say I guess Jeff had to pop out, but thank you, Jeff, for your time, for sure. What were you gonna say, Garrett?
I'll just say, I'm perfectly said, Michael. I mean, I couldn't have said that any better. I mean, you described what we were all feeling the next day after seeing that show. I mean, I'm still riding the high. I mean, even at work today, I was doing my job, but in the back of my mind, I'm going, man, that show was stellar. And just, thinking about the Liz Reed and thinking about Zach popping in and Susan sitting in with Jason and just all the different things. And I'm sure I'll still be riding the high probably through the weekend at least. And I mean, but perfectly said. I loved your comment about Derek's the best guitar player since electricity. I loved that comment because I agree 100%. But yeah, perfectly said. I mean, I'm trying to write something up for Facebook and I'm struggling to even find the words to describe what I'm feeling, because people like to read what I think about, different shows, and I try to give it to them. But man, I'm just sitting here going, how am I going to articulate what I felt?
I'm gonna give you suggestions, because as someone who does appreciate your posts about music, maybe don't try to write it all out in like sentence form. Just write down words. Just write down words and feelings and anything, any memories. Because I don't. Maybe you took notes or didn't. Maybe better if you didn't take any notes during the show or whatever. But maybe that will help you.
I got a whole page of notes I took sitting there.
Throw it into throw your notes and your thoughts into AI, and then have it draft up something. You could, and then edit from there. Like, I don't know, like these are tools, as long as it's articulating what your actual feelings are. I think that anyway, not to go on a tangent.
For me, just to be able to express how I feel, something 10 years ago I didn't really know how to do. And that's been a lot of what my life's been about the past 10 years, is trying to get to know me to where I can know what I'm feeling, because I wasn't really raised where I had any clue about that. And then as soon as I got good at doing that, boom, I discovered them. And it's just been great.
Yeah, no, they're a special band, and the way they kind of like, I was thinking about, because kind of my favorite band before the TTB was like more or less like the Stones. I feel like the Rolling Stones, because I feel like they're able to sort of transcend genres in a way, but are also true to their original sort of rock and roll blues roots, but they were able to evolve too in a sort of future soul kind of way, when they would do like their disco songs or whatever, and also put like late 70s punk songs on the same album, but also stay true to themselves at the same time. Like, there's nothing about like the Some Girls album by the Rolling Stones that's like an inauthentic departure from anything that they did up to that point in any era. But there's definitely like They kind of they make what they want to make their own in the present. They take what they like from maybe contemporary sounds and make it their own authentically. And TTB does that to the next, I would say, the next level.
Yeah, the Stones, when they had Mick Taylor, they touched some of the same musical highlights, but they've been great for so long. But Mick, that era was really pretty special when Mick was in the group. Right,
for sure. I hear like some of the, some of those licks even, I think, and you hear that like Derek and Mick Taylor, I can hear almost some influence. And I've asked that before, as Derek and Mick Taylor, have they ever played together on a stage or done any form of collaboration? That would be interesting.
Yeah, because
or are they
he's in England, right? And he doesn't really come. He's not touring with other bands much. So
yeah, I don't know how his health may be either. I'm not sure. It doesn't seem to be out there. But yeah, he's an amazing guitar player. He's a guitar player where, and Derek is this way too. But I think, certain players like Mick Taylor or like Stevie Ray Vaughan to another degree, like it just kind of flows out of them, like. And I think I like that Derek sometimes takes a breath. He knows when not to play too, and those guys do too. But something about like a Mick Taylor or like a Stevie Ray Vaughan, it just seems to like flow. Like and maybe it's a style thing too, a little bit.
I think one of the things about Derek that's really just blown my mind is when he does the slower stuff and he's focusing on tone. And last summer at Red Rocks, forget which song, but it was really one of the slower ones where he's all of a sudden just not trying to impress with how fast or how intense it is, but just going for the subtle tone situation. And I closed my eyes and the subtle reverb at Red Rocks, and I just went, this band is perfect for what's special about Red Rocks. And there really is a special acoustic quality there. And when they're doing what they do, and when he's doing that, he's the king of tone.
He spends a lot of time, not a lot of time, but like he spends time, maybe more than other guitar players, like in a live setting, adjusting the tone and volume knobs on the guitar quickly in the middle of his before he goes into a solo at the beginning of a song, like really a lot of like fine tuning and none of that bothers fans. I think we like it in the same way we like seeing the strings being fixed and letting us behind the curtain a little bit and to see
seamless.
those little choices.
It's all seamless,
But you hear the little adjustments too, and it makes everything that much better. He's not doing these things for like no reason. But that did make me think of that. He's not necessarily. What flows out of Derek, maybe not through his fingers in the same way as Stevie Ray Vaughan. That flows out of What flows out of Derek is the sense of making these amazing musical choices overall in his sound, like you're saying, in the tone specifically, I guess.
Stevie Ray Vaughan was great, and he played out of a narrower template, I would judge, not to demean him in any way. But he kind of was working through a more of a blues framework.
Primarily, whereas I think of Derek more as like a Jimi Hendrix or a Miles Davis or something like that. It's kind of like someone who could really transcend genres and even more psychedelic. Like, obviously play it all.
Anything.
Jazz. Whatever.
I love him.
Yeah.
And I've really learned to have a similar sense about Susan. And I had a couple people make a few comments on what I've been posting, and I've deleted them because very few, very, very, very few, where they're mentioning her appearance or whatever.
Yeah,
it's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. She's an artist. She's killing it. And some people just can't step away from their way of seeing women or whatever. But it's just, to me, it's not appropriate.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to see what they said, but nevertheless, I think I get.
It's not crude. but it's still just
not appropriate for the tone of the band. And that's something that I'm trying to be, and have, you know, for the most part, I feel like I've tried to be somewhat conscious of, like, when I present myself here, like what's in line with the tone of the band. That's why I don't like, just one example of like this kind of thing is, like, you know, I'm not going to drop F-bombs every other word, but that's not what the band do. But I will sometimes, you know, like, you know, and they will sometimes too in interviews and songs, whatever. They're not saints. They're musicians. They're not squares. So like, just like I think there's certain things, the way we carry ourselves, you know, I think, it's good to ask what would the band do, is if you're thinking about would the band, would they type this, you know, I don't know, would they be that way?
And Susan,
any of the members,
is an empathic, loving, supportive soul and person, and so I love that. I mean, I love that that's part of what the TTB container, she's got a lot to do with that's part of it.
You get that at the live show. I mean, I think of her more or less as the sort of she's the MC, and between the crowd and whatnot, she's working the crowd, and Derek's the band leader, and she's the host, essentially. They're the MC, also a representative.
The last night at Sun, Sand, and Soul, she had obviously been swimming that day, and she did nothing to her hair at all. It was like it just dried. It wasn't, because she obviously, you know, works on her hair to some degree before the shows. That Sunday at Sun Sands, nope. It was just as natural as it could be in terms of.
I think that's I love the casual suit, and to see, even I was going to comment before with Jason Isbell coming out with the t-shirt vibes. That was so, like, it's just like cool rock and roll, you know. I know. I like that. I like Susan t-shirt energy. There's like a casual, like something about it, but also something like special, because it's special when she wears a t-shirt, because she's dressed so nicely so often. I mean, you know what I mean? So to see t-shirt Susan is like it's a different vibe. It's a special guest appearance, or behind the scenes, or something else, or bonus.
He's more comfortable. I think they're more grounded in that they're just doing their thing and that they're comfortable with it. And I think that's showing up in a lot of different ways, just in the few shows I've had any witnessing of this year. And just some of the singing she's doing, I'm hearing her do things that I hadn't heard her do before, or just little nuances of passion or whatever tonal quality that'll be there as she's singing. And it's impressive.
Yeah, for sure. And I like what they're doing, like with the mixes and how you know, the sound sounds. Even thinking about the hero and going back to, like, you know, those haunting verses that I can hear in my head. Beyond where the chorus, where you really hear the power from her, of course, but just those haunting verses and the way you hear, like, the echoey, and again coming back to tone and dynamics. These are obviously things that the band is very conscious of, as are the crew, who are appreciated, as are you, Michael Drum and Garrett Strand. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Any other things we need to mention or talk about? I think we covered it all, the two shows and the videos and the band, and we could do this all day.
You're coming to Red Rocks, right? Do I remember?
Yes, sir. I'll be there both nights.
We definitely have to.
Yeah, we need to meet up, Michael, for sure. I'd love to talk in person.
Everyone's gonna know everyone. I love it. It's cool to
I will say, though, I love this, what I call the second half of Made Up Mind, when Mark sings. I mean, the first time I heard that, I was blown away, and I'm still just as blown away every time I get to witness that. I mean, his voice, is the things he does with that are just so unique.
It's fun.
It doesn't get old.
No, not at all.
I've seen them do that now a bunch of times, and it's not like I could have a thought at the beginning going, "Oh, this again," and then it just pulled me right into it, and it's just like
exactly.
They got to that point, and in my head, I'm going, "Come on, let Mark do it. Let Mark do the second half." And then he started it, and I'm like, "Yes!" I get to hear him do it again.
We forget that there's like people who are there and who have not heard Made Up Mind, who are seeing the band for the first time, or brought by some whatever, or just found their way at this show, and like they might be hearing that song for the first time. And it's also I guess it's one of the more popular songs. I don't know. I guess it depends on what metrics you're going by. I should look at like their Spotify most popular played songs, whatever. But there's also an album named after the song. So there's that.
They have that on Spotify. Can they have those statistics?
I was watching that video that from who's that dude who does all those music videos. He had Derek on one time, an interviewer. He talks about gear, but he talks about like music news and I forget it. He was a musician too. I'm not giving a good
Mark Bento. Mark, is that
him? Yeah, I think you're getting your
so my Uber driver from the airport to taking me to the hotel. He had all these stories. He was a musician. He had taken some people to be interviewed at Mark's place. I mean, he was regaling me on this Uber ride down in Atlanta with just because I mentioned what I was doing, and he basically did most of the talking in the ride, and he was just totally
okay. You want to hear what the top Tedeschi Trucks songs on Spotify are?
Yeah,
sure.
By plays or whatever. I guess it's just showing me top 10, but for some reason it's not showing me them in numerical order. But I assume this is it. But Midnight in Harlem is 58 million plus views or plays, and then you have Part of Me 32 million, and then Anyhow 22 million. And then you have Hear Me, 14 million views. That's crazy. That's wild. That's a song that they've barely played. It's one of my favorite Tedeschi Trucks Band songs. I mean, I don't know why I would even say a sentence like that. Doesn't make, whatever. But no, it's a song I love for sure. So then that, and then I think Don't Know What It Means has 12 million. And then Soul Sweet Song has 8 million. And I think that's the only ones that are a million or more, assuming this is right.
Soul Sweet Song, that song just, and I know what it's about, obviously Kofi and all that, but that song is just devastatingly powerful.
Gabe was, I think Gabe was talking about, he was more like the original writer, I think, of Soul Sweet Song, and he wrote it about, I think he said about his grandmother, and then obviously when they released it, it took on this new additional meaning. I think they were even added, but I think he originally crafted the song. But that's interesting to me. If I have that top 5 correct, that Hear Me cracked that list out of kind of seemingly nowhere. I don't know.
And I was just talking to David Flam the other day about just seeing the evolution of feeling like Gabe is now feeling like he's just part of this band now, because he would often do little spots where he's talking about TTB is almost like it's not his thing. He's got his own world over here. And he's been a songwriter and doing his thing for 25 years. So I understand where that's coming from. But it just seems that he's much more just glad to be in this band. And I think the whole Future Soul process, the parts that he wrote, the songs he wrote, they've got Tin Pan Alley right in their own band. They got Mike Mattison and Gabe in there.
They give Gabe enough room to be himself within the band and outside of the band. I think that's the key. And he said as much. Like if he couldn't express himself in this band and outside of this band, I don't think he would be fulfilled enough to be with them long term.
They would never not do that. And but being in this band, it wasn't as if he had ever gotten to where he could tour nationally and make a lot of money. It's hard. Yeah,
no, I do gather that band member in Tedeschi Trucks Band is a pretty damn good gig for a musician. That does seem to be consensus. I clicked on this website here and it looks accurate. So after it was Hear Me was 4, and then Don't Know What It Means 5, and then Bound for Glory is 12 million, and then Do I Look Worried 10 million. And then Calling Out to You, 9 million. Soul Sweet Song, 8 million. And Come See About Me, 7 million. Made Up Mind, 6.7 million. Then Midnight in Harlem with a Swamp, a live version is 4.2 million. With
low, it's not, they just have not become a national phenomenon.
Yeah.
Because what does Taylor Swift have? 58 billion or what?
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's more. There's more than zero. No, but
no,
I was more just not so much curious about the numbers, but I was just curious what are the top songs, and if that has any insight, gives any insight to song choices that they make with their live shows. And I would say probably not very, very much.
No.
Honestly, I mean,
they know which ones are gonna keep sprinkled in.
Right.
Not only that, but it may be what they feel like playing that night.
Oh, there's a lot that a bunch of things
could depend on the area
that go into it.
Alpharetta could have an effect on the set list. I mean, the Beacon could have, it could be a venue thing. It could be, it could be Derek and Susan and whoever else, and Derek going, okay, guys, what do we feel like playing? I mean, who knows? But I can say I've never walked away disappointed. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, Derek, in some of these interviews recently, he's mentioned that they usually have 150 songs that are, pretty much ready to go, and maybe they have to do a little rehearsal on a couple of them, but that's basically the pot of songs. And it would be fascinating to note who writes the set list. Is it Derek? Is it Sue? How do they do that?
I think Derek has like the final approval essentially, but I guess it's a collaborative effort. But on that note, thank you guys so much. I'll get out an audio version of this soon for sure. Like, subscribe, comment below if you want to have any comments about this podcast, the band, this tour. Appreciate you guys in the chat holding it down. Terry and DTB, Tracy, Suzanne, Flam, Michael Drum, Garrett, and Larry James, and Jeff before. TTB, band, crew, everybody. Anything else we gotta cover? Thanks, guys.
Thank you for keeping the whole thing moving forward and afloat.
Oh, for sure. I appreciate you guys. Like, again, I'm living vicariously through you guys and through whatever content gets posted, whether it be or that the band puts out through Nugs, whatever. Your videos, appreciate those. The audio, the tapers.
Do you have your Hollywood Bowl tickets?
Yes, we will be going to Hollywood Bowl, perhaps San Diego also, and maybe Santa Barbara. We'll see. We'll cross some of these.
Maybe I can interview you after that show, Adam, and get your thoughts and stuff.
I know David. I think I've done that with. I've done that with David Flam, where he did. I think he did like we did like a more formal kind of interview. I think it was a live stream, but I think it was still like more just like a broad conversation. And the next one was too. But I think it was also. I think we did a recap, or maybe it was a couple of people that came on. Yeah, that's fun. Flip it around. Sounds good. We can talk about doing something like that.
Thanks for having me on as much as you do, Adam. I appreciate it.
For sure. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys in watching, subscribing, do all those things. Thank you guys, and we will talk soon. Later.
Appreciate it. Bye.